Hey everybody, John Bornschein here, and this is Cable Lane. I want to welcome you back to our weekly series as we're exploring God's Word together. In today's study, it's entitled A Highway of Holiness. Listen to this. A highway shall be there, and a road, and it shall be called the Highway of Holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for others. Whoever walks the road, although a fool, shall not go astray. Now, the context, of course, with Isaiah chapter 35 is that it's the future glory of Zion. It's a prophetic statement of what God was going to do in the nation of Israel. Time and time again, Israel would be given the opportunity to be the statement of what God's people should look like, how they should live to the whole world. We see that in Isaiah chapter 56, that it was always the plan that the Gentiles would come to salvation. Well, how would they do that? They would see what God was going to do in and through His people. And ultimately, as we know, prophetically, through 355 prophecies, Jesus Christ would come through the tribe of Judah there in the nation of Israel. And through Him, salvation would come to all the nations of the earth. But it was always the plan of God that through the Israelites, the world would see. They would be tasked with the responsibility of the tabernacle, God with us, Emmanuel, that God would be with His people. From the tabernacle and the Holy of Holies, where God dwelt with His people, all the way to the first temple and beyond, God showed the people what they were to do, to welcome His presence, to prepare for His presence amongst them. And this was a daunting and awesome responsibility. You go to 1 Kings chapter 8, and we see when the dedication occurred by Solomon of the first temple. And there he even declared, starting in verses 41 to 43, talking about the Gentiles seeing, hearing, worshiping, praying to the true God of heaven and earth at Jerusalem. That was always the plan. It was to be a highway of holiness for all the nations of the earth. But what happened? Well, like us, the people grew complacent. They were familiar with God. It became religion versus relationship. Heart would be lost. They would give in to the ways of the world and the pagan societies all around them, and they forgot who they represented as ambassadors for the glorious King. How often we do that in our lives. We've been tasked, according to 2 Corinthians 5, to be an ambassador for Jesus Christ. You only go to Ephesians 5, Colossians chapter 3, amongst many others, and you know that we are told to represent the King. Peter even tells us, always be ready to give an answer for the hope that's in you. It is through the saved person that we likewise are to be a highway of holiness, that whomever comes across our path, whomever the Lord appoints for us to meet and greet that day, they would hear about Jesus. They would see it in our eyes, hear it from our voices, see it in our lives. We would represent Christ at all times. May the world see and may the world glory in God through what He is doing through His people. Listen to what Dr. Henry Blackaby says on this. It is God's desire that anywhere there is a Christian, God has a way for people to learn of His salvation. Whenever an unbeliever meets a Christian, the unbeliever ought to be face to face with everything he needs to know in order to follow Christ. Sadly, however, Christians can be like the Israelites of Isaiah's day. We can be so involved in our sin that we are completely disoriented to God, ill-equipped to direct others to Him. If our lives are filled with hypocrisy, we may turn people away from God rather than helping them come to Him. If our lives are filled with doubt or anger, we will impede others from coming to Christ. Our lives ought to be a highway of holiness, providing easy access to God for anyone around us who seeks Him. Ask God to remove any obstacle in your life that hinders others from coming to know Jesus. Brothers and sisters, I hope you've been convicted today. It's a good study. Meditate on these things. May God bless you and guide you in this journey of life. Take care.